Alright, so this is the frozen engine Allis Chalmers B, the 1942. And I've got my little creation on here right now with a floor jack, or a bottle jack, on cylinder number 3, and it's under pressure right now. The thing I wanted to mention is I used that 35 or 30% vinegar solution, and look how cleaned up the cylinders became. I mean, it just ate the rust and then some off of the cylinder walls, off of these sleeves. It was pretty impressive, and there was just a lot of ridges and crud. There's a little bit left, but not much. So I was very impressed with it. I've been pounding on this some today with my pounding device. And so I took all the vinegar out because I didn't want it to continue eating good metal. So I took all that out and put some lubricant, basically some ATF in the holes with a little acetone, and not much because I didn't want to have to empty the whole thing again, just to lubricate in case this jack apparatus or the pounding breaks this loose. I wanted there to be a little bit of lubrication in there. So as you know, I'm hopeful, but I'm not sure this is going to work. In the meantime, while we continue to work on this, and I just think it's going to take a long time, and at some point we'll either have a breakthrough, literally, or we'll give up on it and take another course. I wanted to go over to the head though and look at, in the meantime, while we're waiting for this to see where it's going to go, I wanted to take a look at the head and the valve situation on the head. So let's go look at that. Alright, so this is the top side of the head where the valves are, and the rocker arm assembly would have been on here. And looks to me like every one of these valves is not stuck except this one. And this one, when you tap on it, it doesn't snap back, it just goes further down. So when you look at the underside of the head where the valves are, you can see, you can see a lot of rust here in this cylinder. You can see this one and this one are not too bad. Some rust around the valve, but this valve is stuck open, and that valve seems fine. So I don't know if any of these are stuck closed, but I'll check on that when we'll work those over. I think what I'm going to do is get a wire wheel on a drill and see if I can just clean up these. And then I think what I'm going to do is take each of the valves out and regrind them in, lap them in with a stick and some paste, and just leave it at that, I think, for now. So that's the plan. This is the head gasket's still on here, and it's really on there, so eventually we might have to take that off, although since it didn't seem to get broken or anything, it's still on there, then maybe we can use it again. I don't know if that's possible. I've never reused a head gasket before, but we'll see if that's possible. Okay, so it looks like just this one valve, so we'll work that over, and let me get things set up. Alright, I went ahead and cleaned up this one here with just a little wire brush on a drill like that, and it cleaned up pretty nice, and it knocked all the carbon off mostly. So I think I'm going to do that and get all this rust off of each of these, and then I'm going to pull each valve out and see what condition the valves are in. And I'll start with this bad cylinder here and see kind of what things look like there. and then I'll proceed to this one and this one. Alright, well that cleaned up that cylinder some. I'm going to go ahead and do the other two, and then we'll get to taking those valves out. Alright, I have a tool. Looks like that. And it goes over the back of the spring and then onto the valve. And then it has a mechanism that squeezes it and compresses the spring and releases the keepers, which are these little doodads here. There's two of them, one on each side of the stem of the valve. So in this case, that valve just came right out. And if we take a look at this valve, it actually looks pretty good. You know, it's got some rust and some stuff around it. And then if we look at the valve seat, the valve seat does not look too bad either. So I think we're in pretty good shape on this one. Let me grab my flashlight to get a better look here. So there you can get a little better look. There's some rust inside there. And but the valve seat looks intact. And I sort of think if I can get, I should be able to lap these in and just make sure that they fit tight. Like I said, there's a little bit of rust around there, but it's not horrible. So I think I can lap these back in and get that seat and valve to match pretty well. I suspect these will all be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and take these two valves out. I'm going to try to get this one out. I may have to punch that one out this direction, and so we'll see how that goes. And I'll just do one cylinder at a time and put the valves back so I don't get them all mixed up. So I think that's my plan. In fact, the further we go here, I mean, these valves might be just great, so maybe they don't even need lapping. This one certainly looks like it does. All right, so I'm going to get my tool here and see if we can't get it on this next valve and see. Let's see if we can get this out of here. Got a nice magnet here to get the keepers so they don't go anywhere. There's one. And there's the other one. It's a nice tool. I got this tool to work on the cub, and it's way too big for the cub, but I've made it work. But it doesn't work very well. Okay. Well, on the back side here we have the valve and the keeper and the little oil pan for it. So what I'm going to do now is see if I can tap that out of there. I got a hammer right here. Let's just see. That's not too bad. Well, that's a messed up valve. Let me get a punch to get through the rest of that. I don't want the thing to fall on the ground here, so I'm gonna. The valve is still stuck. Keep going here. There we go. All right. So there's the valve, and you can see it's pretty burnt on this end of it. Rust got right in there, and that's what really got it stuck. And I imagine the oops, I'll put it out here. I imagine the valve guide is pretty corroded on the inside as well. So we'll clean that out as best we can, and then see if we can save this valve. As long as it's not bent, I think we can just clean it up. So I'll get started on these valves out of that one cylinder, and then we'll come back and see how we did. So I cleaned up all the cylinder head sections with my wire brush, and then I took just these two valves out. This one was stuck, wouldn't come out, so I've now I've put a little lubrication on them, cleaned them up, and they do go in very nicely. And that one's very loose again. So it didn't take much to get that loosened up. I'm also thinking that these seats and the valves themselves are in pretty good shape, so I don't even think I'm going to lap these in. I am going to go through here and check the rest of these to see if they're free, to make sure they're not stuck. So I'm going to do that, but then I'm going to be all done with this head. All right, so the little side job on the head seems to be complete. Again, I cleaned up each of the tops of each of the cylinders on the head there, and there was one stuck valve, that was this one, and I cleaned that one up, dipped it in my Chem Dip carburetor bucket for half an hour or so, and then scrubbed it down, poured some water over it. It seems to be a lot cleaner, and then I lubricated the guides for those two valves, put those valves in, and they move up and down very nicely. And you can see now it's no longer lower against the spring. And then I've tapped on each one of these with a hammer, and they all open and close freely. So I think I'm in very good shape on the head. And if we can get this engine unseized, I'll be using this head and put it right back on. I may have to get a new head gasket, but we'll see about that. So the head project's complete, and we'll see how it works if we ever get this thing going.